Good morning, brothers and sisters. Um, in the part of the world I'm in, it's gorgeous. As you can see behind me, the sun is trying to blur out this video, but I've got part of it blocked. Anyway, so nice to be with you again. Today I'm talking about week 6, and there's a couple of cases. Skyhook Wireless is one of them. That's the case prep assignment. And then BizAgent is the larger 50-point group assignment. But before we get into the specifics on those, there's a negotiation quiz that you should take. Let me just say, well, we used to have a negotiation case, and I loved it. We took it out. I did not vote to take it out, but it was taken out. But it was a wonderful case about the kinds of things that we need as we begin a negotiation process. And so let me just say a couple of things. One, strength in negotiation is always information. And the more information you have, the stronger your position is. And the more you understand what they're looking for, understanding what you're looking for helps you get to a mutually agreeable middle ground. Knowing how far you can go and where you need to stop are all important pieces of information that you need to have. In most of the companies that I've worked for, including my own, I have been the chief negotiator for the company. So both having to negotiate and to teach negotiation to my team. And so it's a great tool to have. As members of the church, I think we should always strive to be fair and kind and loving, but still firm. I believe the Heavenly Father wants us to be successful in life and in business, and we need to hold our ground when we need to hold our ground. So now in marriage, that's another thing, brethren. This one line I will tell you you'll find success in marriage. That is, always say, yes, dear. That's the only position you should take. Yes, you're right, dear. So I wink at that after 48 years of marriage. That's worked pretty well for me. So, all right, on to business. Let's see. Before I do that, let me just talk about, so the week 6 groups, normally I don't attend, but I've missed 2 of you this last week because either I've missed or you've moved schedules around, which is fine. I understand that you have to do that. The only challenge when you do that is when you layer it right over the top of another group, then I can't attend. So just be sensitive to that. If you want to know when all the groups meet, just send me a note and I'll send you a schedule. But they're the same schedule that was on the Google Doc. So I will be, I think I mentioned this to most of you, traveling next week. We're going to a high school graduation for my granddaughter. So we'll be back down in New Mexico. And then next week we'll actually do another graduation of a granddaughter. We have 3 granddaughters graduating this year, and then next year we have 3 grandsons. So I'm not sure how that all worked, but that's how it worked. But yeah, we're going back to Detroit, and then for graduation, and then on to the Joseph Smith properties in Vermont, and to Boston for a couple of days. But I'll have my computer and my cell phone, so if you need to reach out, and I'll try and do my best to get back with you. Okay, enough about miscellaneous things. Let's talk for a minute about the cases. The first case is Skyhook Wireless. This is a real company. It actually happened. This is a real case. Most of these are. In fact, I think all of these are this year. So So this is a group discussion. It's an individual assignment, so you have to submit it individually. This one will take a little time for you to do, so make sure you read it early and follow the instructions. It's asking you to consider a situation. It gives you a situation about the background of Google and its involvement. And so be very up on that, because the questions with regard to Skyhook Wireless have to do with that background. There are, this week there are two Excel spreadsheets that you need to fill out and submit. So be aware of that, not just one, but two. I don't want the blank spreadsheet given to me blank. That's not the purpose of the assignment. So there's some things that you need to manipulate in the spreadsheet and resubmit it. So hopefully that's clear. So one is an individual, one is a group. Again, this is an evaluation assignment. So I'd ask you to evaluate the business model using the business model framework. So we've used that now several times this last couple of weeks. It asks you a question about giving their goals, what they were trying to accomplish. How did they do that? Did they do good job, bad job, and why? And then what do they still need to do to accomplish their mission? It asks you a question about why has Skyhook not been successful in landing some large companies. And so you're to look at that, do an assessment, and then answer to me, what your thoughts were as to why, and what maybe you would have done differently if you own the company. There's a question about what should they have learned having dealt with Microsoft and Nokia. And so you have to be pretty up on the case to know what they did wrong or what they did right. I'm not trying to say they did everything wrong. But so there's a question about that. It asks you about valuing the deal, so you're going to have to do some numbers. So what is the value of the Skyhook deal to Apple? So you have to look at it from Apple's perspective. Remember I mentioned earlier that negotiation is understanding both sides' position, which is hard to do sometimes. This is a question about how would they value it? What is the value of the Skyhook deal to Apple? And it's going to ask you to look at a couple of indexes, which are in the spreadsheets that we created for you. Then it asks you, based upon the business model that you've finished, what should Ted propose to Steve Jobs? What should he start? What should be his starting position? And you should know where he has to fall back to if he has to. And as always in any negotiation, Ted needs to understand at what point should he just walk away. So what are those conditions? So share those with me as well. All right, so that's the case prep. There's a note at the end of the case that we put in that in Exhibit 8 in the Skyhook Wireless study, the pre-money shares should total 14,323,311. So we made an error, and then Brother Gilbranson inserted this a few weeks ago. So when we were going through the cases, so just note that. Just put that in. Just hit enable on the spreadsheet so that you can manipulate it. Okay, so that's Skyhook Wireless. Biz Agent. This is a good one. This is a lot of work for the group. This is a 50-point group discussion. It's a group submittal. So group discussion, group submittal. Gosh, where do I start? You need to be really familiar with the raising capital attachment for BizAgent because a lot of the answers to what I'm going to ask you in this case are in there. It does mention a case-based essay format. I'm not going to hold you to that. I mean, if you want to, it'd be awesome. That is the assignment. But it's so difficult for students, from my perspective, to write in that format. So do your best, write the best grammar and so forth, and go from there. So this is an assessment assignment. So similar to last week where you became a consultant, in this assignment you are to prepare a situation assessment. Be sure you use the business model framework once again. And then it asks you a series of questions in instruction number 3. It's what, how, why, or can. And so I'm looking for specifics from your group on this one. What makes BizAgent successful and so forth. And can they succeed ultimately without venture capital? And succeed is kind of a nebulous term. For some it may mean worldly, obtainment. Some are just paying the bills. So I'll leave that up to you. You can decide what success means. There is another spreadsheet on this assignment. It's instruction number 4. And there are a number of tabs. So look at all the tabs because we ask you questions in each one. Then in number 5, it just says, hey, what are the options? Evaluate the options. And use data to explain to me how why you think it's an option and why it's a viable option. Then make a recommendation using the data and the evidence, as always. Tell me why you're making that recommendation. And then submit your Word doc with your recommendations, your analysis, all the stuff that we've asked you to accomplish it beforehand. And as always, don't forget to use the business model framework and the lean startup principles that we've been talking about the last few weeks. Okay, that's the assignment. It's a lot of work, so don't wait until the end of the week on this one. If you meet on Thursday as a group, you're going to be in trouble, even Wednesday. So groups, jump into it early if you need to use it. Text chain or an email chain to say here's who should do this part, and it's okay to even get into it. Start sending your Word document information back and forth. The Excel spreadsheets, all of that are fine with me to do early in the week, so that when you do meet as a group, you've almost accomplished your mission already. So it's going to be critical to have that done early. It's a bit of a brain case, so it's going to take some thinking. So you might want to read it, over the weekend maybe. This morning, this is Thursday, I believe, Thursday the 18th. So I'm going to send this. I'm going to post this today, and it'd be fine to jump into it now, even though you have some work to do still in week 5 assignments. Okay, and as always, I love you guys. I want the best for you. It's fun being part of what you're doing. That's fun being with Brother Gil Branson. Hopefully you enjoyed his lecture last night. He was a very humble, very meek man, but has been extremely successful. So he made his little company sound like it was something, nothing, but he's built it almost from scratch. They bought this company, didn't pay a lot for it, because it wasn't worth a lot, and he's built it into something that is going to create a state for his family now. And he told me a few weeks ago, this is just a little bit more insight into his brain and his heart. He said, Brother Whitaker, I would love to sell my company and teach at BYUI full time. Now keep in mind that the church does not pay a lot for teachers, especially at BYUI. In fact, for instructors like us, it's like philanthropy, basically. They pay us a little bit, but it's not, you're worth the, when you're used to getting, several $100,000 or $1 million a year. It's really not much. I'm not complaining. I love doing this. But I love him as well for his goodness. So he's a good man. All right, I've talked long enough, 16 minutes. So I will leave you and enjoy your week. Have an awesome week with your groups. And again, if you have questions, just let me know. Thanks.